Excuses, excuses, excuses. How many times have we excused ourselves from something that's important because we came up with some reason, some justification for not getting our work done? This morning I'm reading from the book of Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 4. It says, "The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg and harvest and have nothing." Oh, he says, it's too cold outside this winter. I can't go plow. And because you don't plow in the winter, you can't plant in the spring. And if you don't plant in the spring, well, you're not going to have anything to harvest, and therefore your family's going to go hungry. And it all goes back to the excuse that you made in the wintertime that it was too cold to work. Or the Proverb chapter 26, there in verse 13, it says, "The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets." Now the Bible's telling us here, it is a slothful thing for a man to make the excuse that it's risky to leave my house. There's a lion out there in the street. If I go outside, it's going to get me. I can't go out and take a risk. If I take that risk, it might get me. So I'm just going to stay in the house. I'm going to do nothing. And then, well, then you're going to be begging. Then you're going to be expecting somebody to come bail you out because you made an excuse because it was either too cold or too risky. There's always some kind of excuse you can make. Excuses for our relationships and why we've not been diligent in those important relationships. Excuses for marriage covenants that have been broken. Excuses because of our lusts, because of our sinful nature, that we just excuse ourselves in that regard. Excuses for work. The dog ate my homework. All kinds of excuses in life. I'd like to just encourage you today to just stop making excuses. And if you want some help and some encouragement, I encourage you to check out a guy named Clay Dyer. He's a professional bass fisherman. He was born with no legs, no left arm, and no right hand. And yet, Clay Dyer can cast a lure and catch tournament bass. You should see him. Get on YouTube and look him up. He ties those lures on with his teeth. Or what about Matt Coleman? Lives down the road from me here. He's a blind bareback rider. What about Taylor Howell? He's a blind bareback rider. These boys can't see the horse. They could hear him, they could smell him, they could touch him, they could feel him. You talk about a person who we would think would use as an excuse, well, I can't do that. It's too dangerous. It's too risky. I can't see, therefore I can't do that. But none of these guys let those things get in their way. They did not make excuses. Listen, someday we're going to stand before the judgment seat of Jesus Christ. For those of us who are believers, we'll stand before the judgment seat. For those of us who are not believers, they will stand before a great white throne. And we're going to have to answer on that day. And I promise you, our excuses will mean nothing on that day. We are going to be held accountable by the Lord Jesus Christ. I entrusted you with a mission. What did you do with it? Do you think our excuses are going to make any difference on that day? I don't think so. I want to encourage you today, let's stop making excuses. There's important things that need to be done. There's work that needs to be done. Don't be a sloth and don't be a sluggard. Take care of your family. Get your work done. Be responsible. Take responsibility for your own actions. Hey, guess what? There's important things that God has for us. He has good works prepared for us beforehand. He says He's ordained these works for us. We need to not be sluggards, not be slothful, not make excuses, and get after it. Don't make excuses. Get out there and do what the Lord has called you to do. You know, an excuse is really a pitiful thing when you really think about it. Unless it's absolutely and completely out of your hands. And even then, many times, there's a way to figure out how to get done what needs to get done. Let's be faithful with what God's given us. Why? Because Jesus is faithful. Jesus has given us this incredible blessing. He's called us to this life. He will empower us to do what He wants for us to do. Have a great day.